This is the second book in the Polly and Parker series, A Christmas Truth. Chapter 1A, A Careless Accident. It was a blistery cold day in Ohio as Polly and Parker pressed their noses to the frosty window pane. "I wish it would snow again," Polly whispered. "Me too," Parker agreed. "We had so much fun playing in the snow last week. Now it's just cold. Cold without snow is just pointless." "Yeah," Polly sighed. I guess we should be thankful that we got anything this early, even if it did melt away so quickly. But I was eager to make up for all the years we lived in Florida where we didn't get any snow. Do you think we'll get a lot this year?" "I sure hope so." "What are you two so glum about?" Mom called to them from the kitchen. "Oh, we just wish it would snow again," Parker complained. Polly nodded in agreement. Even though they were twins, they didn't always agree on everything, but this was one thing that they absolutely agreed on. They wanted more snow. "Well, look on the bright side," Mom said. "Christmas is in about 2 weeks, and we have a lot to do. Today, while the little ones nap, we can set up some of the Christmas decorations. Then when your father is off on Saturday, we can finish up. We also need to get ready for Grandma and Grandpa to come next week." At the mention of Christmas and Grandma and Grandpa, Polly and Parker perked up. "I can't wait for Christmas," Polly declared. "Me neither," Parker added. "I wish it was tomorrow." Mom laughed. "I'm excited too, but I'm glad it's not tomorrow because we wouldn't be ready. So let's get busy and stop staring sadly out the window." Mom winked at them, and they both stood straight and tall and saluted exaggeratedly. "The Helper twins reporting for duty, ma'am," Parker declared. "Excellent," Mom responded. "First things first, we need to get the Christmas decorations in from the garage. When we were unpacking, it didn't make sense to put them in the attic only to get them back down a week later, so we piled them into a corner of the garage. We need to bring them into the living room so I can sort out everything." Polly and Parker saluted and marched through the garage door to the large pile of boxes that were stacked in the corner of the garage. Because they worked quickly, it was no time at all before they had moved all the boxes from the corner of the garage to the corner of the living room. "Can we help you unpack?" Polly begged. She loved the pretty Christmas decorations. "Yes, you may," Mom answered, "but please be very careful since some of them are glass. Parker, do you think you could play with Amy and Andrew so they'll be distracted as we unpack?" "Yes, ma'am," Parker replied. He did not love unpacking the pretty Christmas decorations like Polly did, so he was glad for another assignment. He held his hands out for his two younger siblings, and they toddled over to him. "All right," he declared, "it's time to play with your big brother." "Parker, pay!" Amy answered, grabbing his big hand with her little one. "Ba-ba-ba-ba," Andrew chimed in. Parker led them into the playroom and dumped the big box of blocks in the middle of the room, while Mom and Polly started opening the boxes and placing all the decorations onto the table. "I need to grab something up in my room," Mom told her. "Okay," Polly responded. "I'll keep unpacking very carefully." As her mom went upstairs, Polly opened a box, pulled out a Christmas nativity set, and then placed it on the table. Then she opened another box and pulled out a festive bowl. "Oh, how pretty," she murmured. "It reminds me of the picture I saw of a lady who was balancing a bowl on her head. I wonder if I could do that." Carefully, she placed the bowl on top of her head. "This is so cool," she thought to herself. Suddenly, the bowl slipped and went crashing down onto the floor. Polly stared at the broken pieces in horror. "Polly, what happened?" exclaimed Mom as she ran down the stairs. Polly froze, embarrassed. She knew that trying to balance a bowl on her head was not being careful. I'm so sorry, Mom," she said. I accidentally bumped it off the table when I was placing the nativity there." Polly felt guilty for not telling her mom the truth, but the truth was just so embarrassing. "Well, don't move," her mom instructed. "I don't want you to cut yourself on the broken glass." Polly stood very still as her mom cleaned up the broken shards. She bit her lip nervously as she thought about what she had just told her mom. It wasn't a complete lie, she tried to convince herself. It was just a little twist of the truth. Once Mom had cleaned up the glass, they continued to unpack, but Polly didn't feel as excited as she did before. Every time Mom spoke, Polly thought that she was going to confront her about her carelessness, but Mom didn't mention it. Once everything was unpacked, Mom went into the kitchen to get lunch ready, and Polly sat quietly on the sofa. She felt so guilty for her lie, but she couldn't work up the courage to tell Mom the truth. "Kids, it's time for lunch," Mom called to them from the kitchen. Polly got up slowly from the couch and trudged into the kitchen as Parker led Amy and Andrew over to the table and helped them buckle them into their high chairs. "Lunch looks so good, Mom," Parker stated happily as he dug into his food after they had prayed. Polly nodded in agreement, but kept her eyes down as she picked at her food. Normally she loved beef stew, especially on such a cold day, but today it just didn't seem to taste as good as it usually did. As the rest of the family finished up, Mom cleaned up the babies and took them upstairs to their nap. "Are you excited about decorating?" Parker asked her. "It'll be fun to put the tree together. I can't wait for Christmas." "Mm-hmm," Polly whispered as she stirred her stew. "Are you feeling okay?" Parker asked her. "You haven't spoken a word all through lunch, and you've hardly eaten your stew, which is one of your favorites." Polly shook her head. "I'm just not hungry," she shrugged. "Do you want to finish my stew?" "Sure," agreed Parker as he took her bowl. "I must have worked up quite an appetite building that city with Amy and Andrew," he joked. "So what's wrong with you anyway?" he asked. "It's nothing," Polly answered. "I just feel really bad about breaking that bowl." "Well, it was an accident," Parker pointed out, "and Mom isn't mad or anything." Polly just shrugged. She knew in her heart it wasn't breaking the bowl so much as it was the lie that she had told. She did feel bad about breaking the bowl, and she would have felt bad even if she had just bumped it off the table like she had claimed. But the guilt she felt over her lie was just eating her up inside. "It's not a big deal," she kept telling herself. "It's not a real lie. It's fine."